All right, I am happy to have back on the program, get an update from the Mayor of Flagstaff, Mayor Becky Daggett. Mayor, how are you doing today?
I am great, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's good to have you back. I'm actually looking forward. Thanksgiving is like it's my favorite. I love to overdo it, and I'm looking forward to turkey time. You're looking forward to it too. We were talking a little bit before we came on air, and you're like, I'm going to watch the marching band. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Is this a big thing? I didn't realize what was going on. Share this with everyone.
Yeah, I'd love to. NAU's Marching Band was selected to play in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Yeah.
And they're one of, I want to say, like 3 bands that have been selected to perform. So they, in fact, have a practice this afternoon at the Dome to kind of kick things off before they fly to New York. So this is a huge deal for them.
Yeah, that is awesome. You mentioned to me, you're like, I'm going to watch the parade. And I said, I'm going to disappear. Like I go all like, I go dark. I'm in the middle of nowhere. And you're like, I'm going to watch the parade. I'm like, I'm not going downtown Flag to watch the parade, right? Not that I liked watching those parades, but then I was like, oh, it's New York. So I get started connecting Macy's Day Parade. Are you in it? Are you going to be in it, or are you just watching?
No, I'm just watching it.
That's going to be cool.
I'm just cheering them on.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I saw them. I went to one of the NAU football games. I went with Wiseman and Orville Wiseman and his family had some seats there, and we were watching. And I watched them. It's a big. It seemed like a large. Like marching bands are large by their nature, right? But it just seemed like huge. So what's logistics even look like? Getting the marching band out there.
I think there are about 300 musicians.
Wow.
So they have to ship out some of the instruments, I know, and then the students and whatever staff are going with them. I think they're going out on on Sunday, because they have to do some rehearsals and they're performing in Central Park. So I can't imagine accompanying 300 students.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
To do anything, to get food, to travel somewhere, nothing. That's crazy.
Well, yeah, in the hotels, where are they staying? Like Jersey City or something? Because, getting a hotel in the middle of New York City that time of year is insane. Just trying to book all that, plus all the other people that are probably flying in. I could imagine what's the big instrument? The one where it's like
tuba is pretty big.
It's like you have to have some muscle behind that thing. Imagine carrying that on or something. So good for them. That's awesome. Awesome.
I'm really happy for them. It's a big deal.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. Okay, well, let's hit on. And I was just talking with my wife Angela about this. We always spend a lot of time on air on housing. I've been in. When I was born, my dad was ripping apart our house. I've been around construction, my whole life. I'm in the rental business. I know a lot of people in this space. I know just from my experience. I mean, my daughter, had trouble finding a place to stay in Flagstaff when she graduated actually from NAU last year. Did find a place, but it's tough. So let it rip. Where are we at in housing? I mean, I got the old newspaper from 1983 or something that council's working on housing. We're still working on housing, I guess.
We are, and we've had some successes. Okay. And in the past 2 years, 30% of the housing that's been built in Flagstaff has been affordable, and that's by the federal definition of affordable. And we are making some big strides in home ownership. As you know, Flagstaff voters thankfully approved the housing bond, and part of that money was taken and put into homebuyer assistance, which the city has partnered with Housing Solutions of Northern Arizona on down payment assistance since 1999.
Okay.
And roughly $4 million has gone out and helped 345 families to open the door to homeownership. And that's a revolving loan. So you don't pay it back until you either refinance your home or you sell your home.
Is there a period? Is there a period where it goes away, or is it when you sell? I mean, that's attached to it, and it will go back into the fund. It's not a time period, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And with the bond, there was additional money put into that. So now the amount that you can get if it's the first time buying a home in Flagstaff and you've lived here, I think it's for 2 years, lived in Flagstaff, $50,000, and you can make up to 150% of the area median income. So this is designed to kind of catch those people who are making a decent living, but, with the cost of housing here, are just having trouble coming up with the down payment and the closing costs. But we've also started a new program. This is kind of a pilot program, and it's out of that pot of money as well, that provides 30% of the home's purchase price in exchange for permanent affordability, which means that when you sell the house, I think it's 25% the equity you can take out of it, but the house remains permanently affordable for the next home buyer in exchange for getting that 30%.
Okay, so let me try to wrap my brain around this.
The $50,000 that's a repayable loan.
Okay,
and that then the home is yours, and you repay the money when you sell or when you refinance. This 30% of the home's purchase price, this is for permanent affordability, and this you don't have to pay back because you have agreed to limit the equity that you take out of the home.
So there's a little bit of cap. There's a little bit of cap on the potential price escalation, and you can only get so much of that in order to keep it below kind of the market value, I guess. We should say. Okay. So that may help. But what are we talking here? I mean, 150% of AMI. What is that? I don't even know what
I don't have the number 70, right in front of me, but I want to say it's a little over 100,000. Okay.
So, and housing prices, in which we track pretty good around here. I mean, I know median prices were, last time I heard, 7 something is kind of the median price. Back in the day when Angela and I lived in our gutted home for 2 years, and, we lived in one finished room. We were just talking about this. It was like, this was like 89,000. It was like the cheapest home we could find in Flag, but this was like 2000 or something, 98 maybe. Right. And, that's hard to find. I mean, you can find maybe once in a while a $400,000, call it gut job. But it's tough to find those now.
It is, which is why we're also working on the code analysis project, which is to take a look at all of our codes and see where it makes sense to make changes. And for instance, the city council just approved a change to the code, our middle housing code, which allows duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes. And we were already working toward that, but then the Arizona legislature passed legislation requiring it of cities, but we were already
doing it. Okay.
Well, we were already almost there.
Okay. I could spend a lot on this one. I mean, I probably have so many suggestions, and see, here's your challenge, I guess, as the mayor of Flagstaff. You're going to get bombarded by, you get bombarded by everybody, but I see it every day where I'm like, this is ridiculous that I have to do this and it costs me so much. I always pick on the expansion tank on the hot water heater that we didn't need for 100 years and then we needed like 10 years ago all of a sudden. And the cost escalation on all of these extra things you've got to do that we never had to do. And I don't have a list with me, but I can get you one. But there's also so many people out there who are contractors and stuff. And in these, they're seeing the expenditures. And then we got the cost of living issue in Flagstaff, and everybody's like, why are you raising the rent? It was like, well, because it just cost me $2,000 to put in a new water heater. It used to cost $500. And I know things have gone up and stuff, but there's such a long list, Mayor, of things that you do, and you're scratching your head as, when you're in this industry, and you're like, why are we required to do this? And it adds to the cost. Right.
And that's why we're looking at the codes for what makes sense to change, to not only to make it quicker, the process quicker, where it makes sense. Again, this isn't just a free for all, but where it makes sense to make the process quicker, and where it makes sense to lower costs for those who are building homes. And this middle housing is especially exciting for me because that opens up more opportunities for smaller developers and for, some of the folks who have been struggling because land is so expensive, right? And so some of our homegrown developers who have a long history in Flagstaff, but times are a little, it's challenging. It's challenging to build.
You can't
currently.
find a lot. Yeah. It used to be,
right.
I remember back, when I did concrete work and stuff, this would have been like in the mid 90s. And I knew tons of people that they would do 1 or 2 houses, spec homes, no less, a year that would be considered just kind of entry level homes now. A lot of people are living in them, quite frankly, right now. And they just buy a lot and they'd put it up as spec and sell it. And that's pretty much, that's gone. It's just gone.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we get, but then again, Mayor, it's land scarce. I mean, the land's, the lots that are left, they're like on the side of the hill and stuff. And it's, there's a lot in my neighborhood. It's on the side of a hill. It's our sleigh riding hill, right? It's been for sale. It's like $350,000 for this. And it's going to take 150 in excavation work, so you're not doing affordable housing on stuff like that. Are we going to keep going up or, with the developments as far as size and this and that?
Well, we're working a lot on more infill, like that middle housing where it still has the feel of a single family development, but you have additional units. So some people call it gentle density, instead of the high rises or even 4 stories, 5 stories, something that's blending in with neighborhoods. But I'm fairly certain that apartment developers are still going to be wanting to do the type of projects that we've seen previously. We're trying to make it accessible so that we can have a variety of housing types and people can find the kind of, especially those starter homes, and the type of home that I still live in because it was the house that I could afford when I bought it, and there's no way I could afford to move into another house at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see how it goes. I'll be interested to see the process as you move forward. One thing that does jump into my mind is when they build the bigger ones that are kind of higher up and you've got the commercial down below that's vacant. I don't think that's working, because you see a lot of those spaces and it could have been maybe housing and more square footage towards housing.
Yeah. I think the couple that we see right on, Milton, and there's another one on, I can't remember the name of the road right now, but those are, a lot of them are still sitting vacant. And I think it has a lot to do with pedestrian traffic in the area, whether it is a place where people are walking and will walk into a business.
Yeah, that's the challenge. Yeah.
But I've heard all kinds of ideas tossed around for how to change that up and what to do with the ones that we already have. And I don't know that we'll see any more of those being built until the ones that have been built, a use is found for that bottom floor.
All right, Mayor, let's hit on this one. And Mayor Becky Daggett's with us, Mayor of Flagstaff. I had on the chief of police on this for Flagstaff. I think some of your colleagues on the council as well. And we've talked about it. We've talked about this so much on a national level. Other cities that have looked at the Sedona and talking about the flock cameras all over the place. I mean, these things have gone in a lot of places. They kind of appeared here, and you give me your history because mine might be fuzzy, but like we got like 3 dozen of these flock cameras, which are the license plate readers at certain intersections. I think there's about 3 dozen that were put in maybe a year ago. Your take on it.
Yeah. I believe that they're a useful tool for our police department. And we've all heard the stories of when they have proven successful in helping to locate the driver of a vehicle who there was a kidnapped child, and I'm sure your listeners have have heard about that. And there was a hit and run where the pedestrian was killed and the driver took off, and that driver was found. So they are useful, and Flock has attracted a lot of national attention for the system being abused, and whether that was by Flock or by the municipalities for using it. So what we have kept a close eye on here is having the guardrails, if you will, to make sure that it remains a useful tool for the police department to be able to solve crimes and to help victims, at the same time to give a little peace of mind to residents that they're not being tracked. And I think a couple of the misconceptions are that you are being tracked throughout town, and these cameras just pick up a license plate, and we're currently only holding on to that data for 14 days, and then it's gone. And the data is only looked at if they're looking for a particular car. So you could drive through town all day long and no one looked to see whether your license plate number was picked up anywhere, unless there was a reason for someone to be looking for a specific vehicle and a specific license plate. So I think I come down in the middle where I understand the concerns, the privacy concerns, and we've heard from a number of people in the community. We've also heard from a number of people in the community who see it as a very useful tool and want law enforcement to be able to use it. So I think we've come up with a good compromise where the data is only stored for a certain amount of time, and there are strict guidelines into how police officers can access the data, and it's all audited on a monthly basis by a supervisor, and they have to get a supervisor's permission in order to create what is called a hot list. So to put a license plate into the system as this is a vehicle that we want to track down. So if a camera picks it up, everyone's going to get notified that a camera has picked it up and where they've picked it up. So I feel good about where we've landed.
Okay. Have your colleagues, is that done, or is it coming up for another vote, or this is pretty much
coming up for another vote? What we did, citizens gave us a petition with the amount of signatures that they needed in order to have us talk about their petition, and their petition asked us to cancel the contract. So we did discuss that, and where we landed at the last meeting where we did that was 5 of us want to move the contract forward to a future agenda.
Okay.
and talk about renewing it with all of these stipulations, as well as the understanding that if in these audits anything untoward is found, we can shut the cameras off at any time, and we will. I mean, the entire city, and in fact, the entire community is watching this very closely. And so I have faith in our police chief, and hopefully it was a great conversation that you had with him.
Yeah, I did. You know what? And I like Chief Conley. I think he was a good addition to the community. I've had him on maybe 3 or 4 times. I've been down there and toured around. Seems like he's come up with some good stuff. I don't particularly mind, and I get some listeners that send me messages that like the flock cameras is, it's the Big Brother thing, which I definitely have concerns on as far as tracking and all this. But then I'm kind of like, sometimes the people come to the dais and probably talk to you, and it's like they got an app and 50 apps on their phone. They're being tracked every 3 seconds. And then they drove here and they were snapped by 50 doorbell cams and on and on. I'm like, what's the real problem here? And I don't think this is a bad system. I like the fact of guardrails. You got to keep an eye on it and make sure there is no abuses or this and that. But I'm not overly concerned with this. There's many other things I'm concerned with when it comes to privacy in our country. And I don't know. I mean, maybe if you asked me 10 years ago, but it seems the ship has sailed so far. I mean, we have our privacy's been shot.
Well, and it is a bigger issue. And so we've also brought in our IT department, and our chief information officer is going to be creating a citizens task force to help him look at some data privacy policies for the city, just recognizing that there's so much technology that is being used now that we want to make sure that the public has a chance to weigh in on what our policies around it are, and understand how different technologies are being used.
Yeah. And, I changed my mind here. If you started using the cameras, like, oh, Jeff went through that intersection 8 times, and he's driving way too much. The sustainability department's they're gonna fine him or something like that. Then, you got a carbon tax now. Then I might be down there with a petition. You know what I mean? So yeah, we'll talk then. But I think that the chief seems to have this. Pretty in a good spot. And I if we can catch somebody who's somebody's gone missing, you've mentioned some of these cases, kidnapping, trafficking things. I mean, it's crazy out there. Some of the stuff that's happening. So, okay, well, we'll keep an eye on that. One more that I think hit the radar. I didn't get to address this with the chief. And quite frankly, it involves used to be a good sponsor here on the program, which is Timberline. Shooting range, and Rob's, they're the family out there, and those folks are good friends of mine. So is law enforcement buying that?
Yeah, we just approved. We approved them moving forward with kind of putting it in place to purchase it.
Okay,
but we haven't come to the final approval on the project. But yes, we did say move ahead with discussions, and the Flagstaff Police Department is looking at partnering with the Coconino Community College District with their police officer training program, as well as the county sheriff. And this would give them a year-round opportunity for training, as was explained to us. Now with the outdoor shooting range, it's weather dependent. Yeah. And it would be good to be able to keep people certified and continue that training year-round.
No, that is a diminishing thing. I mean, firearms training, that needs to be done on a regular basis. And what I understand is that guys and the law enforcement folks had to go out to out in the desert somewhere. They had to drive out to some range out there, and you know how it gets muddy, it gets snowy, whatever. So I think having that facility is probably important, and that would be it would not just be Flag PD, but you're talking with Sheriff Axland, and you're talking on a countywide basis as well. Yes. Okay. It seems like a good thing.
Yeah, the council, it was unanimous to tell them to go ahead and move forward, and then bring in those partners. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that Flagstaff and Coconino County do so well is coordinating. We coordinate on our training for firefighters. We coordinate on our training for police officers. And I see this as another of those steps in the cross-jurisdictional coordination.
All right. Mayor Daggett is with us, Mayor Becky Daggett with the City of Flagstaff. Let me hit on this. What do you see kind of big issues 2026? You're up. Is this your second? How long have you been in there? I'm sorry. I forget things.
Yeah, this is my second term. Okay. So I'm on my third year because the terms, as you know, are 2 years. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm in my second term, third year. Okay. And then you plan on running for election for another term coming up 2026. Yes. And that's November with the normal election cycle. Correct.
Okay. What do you think's the big issues? I mean, it seems like it's kind of always been some of the same issues, which is housing, which we talked about, law enforcement, things like that. What's kind of on your radar? Because, you do this stuff and you hope you can move the needle forward on some things. So what are you thinking?
Absolutely. We have a lot that we're still working on. housing is I would love a day when that's not at the top of my list, but currently it's on the top of my list. Right now, we're gathering a kind of a task force of citizens to look at our public safety needs. So emergency management, law enforcement, fire department, to look at all of those and talk through funding for some of those bigger needs. So that's about to start up, and I think they'll be coming back to council next May or June. We have the John Wesley Powell extension, where we have a RSOQ, the request. What is it? Request for
it's like bidding and
qualifications.
Stuff. Okay.
Yeah, for qualifications. So looking for a contractor to do the city portions of that road.
Is that where it connects over by the airport? Are we talking there? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So the city has worked with all of the landowners down there, and each of the landowners are paying their share of the road that goes through or next to their land, and then the city is picking up the portion that doesn't go through private land.
Since we're on that section of town, and I'm kind of an airport guy, and I'm a pilot. My son's training to be a pilot, and we learned, during the shutdown, we knew this before, how stretched the system is as far as air traffic controllers and all this and that. But one thing I can tell you out there is there's so many people that come into this town that most people don't realize until you get out there and you see the amount of jets coming in. I'm not talking just like American Airlines and this and that, but it is crazy the amount of people that come into this town and probably bring in money and this and that. I talked to the airport manager out there, Brian and Adam, good guys out there. And it looks like, they're coming before you kind of like with some expansion things and trying to address some issues, maybe another airline, something like that.
Yeah, they've been working on a second airline for some time and have gone to all of the meetings and conferences where you have a chance to talk to the airlines, trying to get a second one to come in to open up more routes to visitors and people living here. So yeah, that's an ongoing thing. Yeah. We're looking at building. We got grant funding to purchase firefighting equipment for the airport, but we don't have a building that's adequate to store it all. So we're looking at building a building out there to store this so that we can better protect all of the equipment. So there's a lot going on.
Don't forget about the covered parking. There's a lot of people out there that are like, there's like 100-person waiting list. It's pretty huge. I'm talking general aviation.
Right. Yeah, yes, I've heard that.
Yeah, it's a huge thing. Okay, so there's that. What about like other infrastructure? Because you mentioned J.W. Powell, but there's congested areas like Butler by Little America where you have all the semi trucks. And and you had all those new developments go in there. And I was always told that when the developments come in, the developers are going to pay for the road, and there's going to be the 4 lanes instead of the 2. And we still have the light strung up at 4th Street. That's like, been temporarily strung up by a wire for like 20 years now. You know what I'm talking about? It's like swinging in the wind, and you're like, I hope this doesn't come down and kill me. Are we connecting this? Cause we've got it's a choke point there.
We are. So there's going to be work done at the intersection of 4th and Butler is going to be expanded to 4 lanes. And there's, I believe the design for the entire road is already finished, and construction, I don't have this on my list, so I'm talking a little bit off the top of my head.
That's fine. We do that all the time here.
I believe that construction on the intersection is going to start very soon.
Okay. All right. I drive that every day. Try to make it not, I don't want it to be inconvenience though.
Okay. So we're going to do construction that is not inconvenient.
Yeah. Imagine that. That'll never happen.
If only.
Yeah. Everybody wants it done, but don't inconvenience me. What do you see, Mayor, with water? Are we running out of water? I know we got Red Gap, which is out like halfway here between here and Winslow. Tons of water out there. It's been talk about a pipeline forever, but cost and all kinds of logistical issues. Where do we sit in that regard?
So in terms of in town, we're doing well and managing. We're using less water per capita than we were, 10, 20 years ago. And Red Gap Ranch has always been seen kind of as that future water supply. And it was purchased so that we had the water rights out there. We recently had a meeting with the Flagstaff Water Commission. It was a joint meeting between the City Council and the Water Commission to have a presentation from the Bureau of Reclamation about a study that they are going to do for all of us to look at it as a regional water supply. So we've been in conversations with the Navajo Nation and with the Hopi tribe and with state land department about water needs between there and us. And there's a lot of interest, which if there were more partners brought into the project would bring the price down. Yeah. But it's not like it's going to be developed in the next 5 years, 10 years. It's still a ways off, and it's a complicated thing to design and plan. But we have already, the city has already obtained the right of way. So working with the landowners out there to get easements to be able to have some sort of a structure to bring the water in the future. Okay. But again, it's a long-term future. But that water source is also part of what Flagstaff relies on to receive we're certified as having 100-year assured supply of water through the Department of Water Resources, and that water supply is counted in our 100-year water supply.
Okay, so we got it out there. All right, final one that I got on my list, unless you got something else you want to add here, Mayor, is I've had on folks from Flagstaff First, and they've talked about sustainability and different definition of that, and they start talking about fire prevention, which is actually a huge issue, which we could probably spend another hour on. The insurance problems people are having, quite frankly, which is a huge problem we all have to address with people getting dropped on their, like homeowners and stuff like that. But firewising the community, looking at sustainability from more of a perspective of, if we have a major forest fire, how do we deal with resiliency there versus some of the other stuff, quite frankly, that the city's been doing, trying to address those issues, which seem more, at the forefront in my opinion, and a lot of folks' opinion.
Right. And there's a lot going on in those terms. And in fact, I would point people we had a joint meeting with the County Board of Supervisors just this last Monday. And all of these meetings are recorded, so you can go to our YouTube channel and watch them. So we had a joint meeting with the county, and it started out with a presentation from the county about what they have learned in terms of insurance and some of the problems around our insurance rates going up or people being dropped. Yeah. And then there's a presentation from our wildland firefighting team about work that they're doing and a new project where there's a little bit of money to help homeowners, what's called harden their homes, to clear debris and vegetation from around their homes. So we've got the efforts going on in the forest on public lands, working with the Forest Service. And we also have interior focus on people's individual homes and helping them to harden their home. So in the case of a fire, there's more chance of more homes being protected. Yeah. And there's a lot going on. We're also going to build this is going to be the first wildland firefighting training center that is owned by a municipality in Arizona, and it's going to be built in northern Arizona. So it will help to train and to deepen the training that's already happening, because I believe all of our firefighters get 4 weeks of wildland firefighting training, but this will even deepen the amount of training that they can get and expand it. I'm sure that firefighters are going to be coming from all over the state to come and train here.
I bet.
So
okay.
There's a lot of energy, there's a lot of money, and effort and planning going into making sure that we're prepared and preventing fire as best we can.
Yeah, and I live in the city limits, and you've always had this kind of false sense of, we got roads, we got some buffer zone, and we're kind of okay. And then the LA fires and the Hawaii fires,
yep,
right? And you're like, it's not just in the out, and we've seen this devastation out by, in the Donny Park area and so on and so forth. But you always thought in the city you had a little more level of protection than you actually did.
Right. And part of the presentation that they showed us on Monday was just about when the fire hits the crown of the trees, how you can have a road, but it won't matter because those sparks are flying and, hitting the row of houses 2 streets over.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the flying embers. So really protecting your own home is so critical. And our wildland firefighting crew, they will come out and do an assessment of your home and tell you things that you can do to help fire-wise your home, fireproof your home. And I suggest that people take them up on it and have them come out in entire neighborhoods doing it to make sure that we're working in partnership with the Forest Service and with the Flagstaff Fire Department to keep us all as safe as possible.
Yep, that's a good idea. All right, Mayor. I appreciate the update. A lot of info there, and I wish you have a really good time in New York City at the Macy's Day Parade with the NAU Marching Band being there. I think you'll have a good time. We'll look forward to seeing some of those pictures and videos and stuff like that. And we'll talk again, hopefully, in the new year as some of these things start rolling here.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Thank you so much. We'll talk again soon. All right. Hang tight. More to come.
Okay.
This is the Jeff Oravits Show.